Well, not only does it drive referrals to my email, obviously, the biggest impact it's had is I've had referrals of referrals. So a legal match referral has come through and it's great. And then you get a phone call out of the blue and it's like, my name's so-and-so and so-and-so recommended you. And it was someone who originally I got through Legal Match. And that person who I did work for, I actually have had both. I've had someone who I did work for and then someone who I actually didn't do any work for. I just gave them some advice and said, this is what has to happen. There wasn't any reason for me to engage them. They referred me to someone and I got a client out of that. So the fact that you take care of some of these potential clients, people who come through Legal Match that have issues, they have just questions sometimes, and it's just an answer that needs to happen. I think that's the best thing because it's gotten my name out there to show that I'm helping individuals that just might need that question answered. And it's brought me in a few clients that I would not have had otherwise. So that's very nice. It's provided me the opportunity to build my business and grow it through that time. Whether or not I think the pandemic existed, I think I would have done well with Legal Match. And I'm happy that I'm using it right now. I do landlord-tenant, so I didn't do a lot of evictions during the COVID moratorium. And because I don't just do landlord-tenant law and it's business law and litigation and property law, there were many potential clients and referrals that came through Legal Match that I could help, that I guided, and that probably helped me build my clientele during that time period that I would not have had otherwise. Legal Match is just, whether it's COVID or not, I guess that's why I don't want to say it's just COVID that created it, because Legal Match in and of itself just provided ample opportunities to help individuals, companies, and potential clients that needed that extra help, that needed that extra step, whether it was a simple question to filing a major lawsuit. Some of the features that I liked in becoming a client of Legal Match as an attorney, we originally set up basically initial 5 or 6, it might even been more than that, letters that are drafts. And basically it's my in-house secretary. And as soon as a client comes in and they tell me you get that 3-sentence synopsis of what their issue is. As an attorney, you got to kind of figure out where that fits within your bailiwick. Where is that a tenant issue? Is that a landlord issue? Is that a property issue? Is property bound issue? And I've got letters set up for all that, and they allow you to do that. And I just have to click, and without much editing, like 5 seconds of editing usually, I can send them an email within minutes of getting a notice from them. I try to do it within hours every day. Like I rarely go 24, 48 hours without responding to someone. But I have the access of just clicking the letters that are already made because Legal Match provides that access to be able to do that. And they provide notes. So like you get potentials who they've decided not to go forward, but they're not telling you about it. They just have their information there and they never respond to you. So you can put notes in there that, I've called this person or I've emailed this person and what you've done already. And you don't have to worry about, I don't remember if I've called this person 3 times or 4 times. In the notes, it sits there and puts the dates, exactly what you did and where you did it. So that's nice. And then you can archive ones that that doesn't mean anything. I like the features that they have, just how they have the columns, whether you responded to, whether you've consulted with them, but they've never hired you. That's awesome. Because I have a lot of those. I talk to a lot of people and never get hired, but I think I've gotten some referrals off of those people who I've consulted with, but never got hired. Daily, I would say 5 out of 7 days, I'm going to get a lead usually. And I say that because there'll be one day I get 3, and then the next day I won't get any, the next day I won't get any, but the next day I'll get 2. And so I would say on average in a week, I'm getting 1 lead every day, 5 out of 7 at least. There's plenty I've gotten. I'm going to say between 10 and 20%. I'm counting the ones who they'll come in just for a consultation and I'll give them an hour of my time for $100. So I'll count those as actually a referral client. They might not have hired me per se, but they paid $100 because they wanted more than my phone call. that I talk to them, because I usually call everyone and we talk to on the phone before I ever meet anyone. And that's free. So I'll talk to them. Sometimes it's half an hour. And usually after half an hour, they're like, well, I really need to talk to you more. And I'm like, well, I need to see documents, or I need to do this. And they'll want me to review their documents for $100. Now, I can do that. So the clients are there. Sometimes you get a potential client that doesn't need help. You just got to tell them they don't need help. It's hard to do, but sometimes you just got to tell them that. It's like, you don't have a case, or you really don't need help. You can do this on your own. Just go do this. And it's a lot easier for me just to tell them than to try to have them sign an engagement letter, pay me money, and then say the same thing, go do it yourself. I mean, it make an attorney look good when that happens. So if it's not a legal issue, they don't need us. I have to say I'm less than educated on that, because Legal Match is the only one I've ever used. Make sure I immediately contact the potential clients. Like, I wouldn't even want to think about not getting a client, because you can't really tell what type of client you're going to get by the post, because you're just getting a synopsis of the issue. So you got to read that, and you got to immediately I need more information. That's what every attorney using Legal Match should say. It's like, I probably need more information. Even if they have I've gotten ones where they're a page long, and it's like, I still really need more information. I want to talk to this person and understand the case, understand what their objectives are. But getting the most out of it is immediately responding to those potential clients and putting them in a position where they need help. Here's what I can do. Now the ball's in their court. Or, look, you don't need help. I'm moving you off the file. Or, hey, you need help. Do you want help? Yep. Okay, let's set it up. And it's already scheduled and stuff. And it's out of this, what I would call the inbox. There's one box that we have has the Legal Match, and I don't want any in there. I don't want any in the inbox. I want to have read their case, understand it, and moved it on, and put the ball back in their court in understanding what has to happen, so that I don't feel like I've never or not provided some individual who's given Legal Match an opportunity. I didn't hear from anybody. You got an email from me. I can guarantee it, because I usually email everybody. It's not always good letters. It's not always, I don't think I can help you, or you have an issue, you need to call someone else. I think everyone gets an email. Define your legal purview very tiny. Make it as narrow as possible. What law you do. Normally, as a young attorney, you're going to have a bigger purview. You're coming out doing stuff on your own, and you're like, I need to pay the bills. As for me, I used to do some family law. I used to do some estate planning. I don't advertise that on Legal Match. I don't think I've ever gotten one of those opportunities on Legal Match. I don't ask for that. And the reason is because as I have grown my practice, I don't have to advertise for it. I don't need it. I've narrowed my view of what law I want to do and what I'm good at, what I'm great at, what I want to do. So that's what comes through Legal Match. And I have to admit, you need to make that narrow, because I do property law, I do litigation, and I do landlord-tenant law. There's a reason they say we're practicing law still, even though I'm done it 20 years. You will always get a new case that challenges you. It makes you think. It makes you go learn something new about property law, or something more about landlord-tenant law. And you think that landlord-tenant law in small claims court, everything possibly could have been done. And that's just not, it doesn't happen. So that's probably one of the things I would tell a new attorney. I mean, I'm a practicing attorney of over 20 years. A new attorney bringing on Legal Match, I would say, make it narrow and be prepared to learn. Be prepared to practice even more, because Legal Match gives you the opportunity to see all types of legal cases from both sides, plaintiffs and defendants, within your area of the law, whether it's property law or litigation or family law or bankruptcy. You're going to get a bunch of types. And I think you're going to learn something new in your area of law. So there's no reason to go, well, I think I can pick up this new area of law in Legal Match and make more money, because what you're going to get is a bunch of clients who expect an expert, and you're trying to learn, and you're still going to struggle learning on the areas that you already think, because that's what happens. Legal Match gives you an opportunity to expand your knowledge within your own area, but you got to be prepared for that. There are always available. I've never had an issue of contacting my account manager or my supervising manager. If anything, they reach out to me more than I even need, but they're always contacting me. I think it's a weekly email I get and a monthly phone call. And they're saying, what do you need? If you need anything, contact me. And they take care of me. If I have an issue with a client or I have an issue with a contact, they're right there with regards to responding to how to take care of it or how to communicate with that potential client. So far, I've never had any issues with regards to my administrative staff that I deal with through Legal Match. They are awesome and they are super supportive and very responsive. I appreciate the opportunity to work with you and look forward to future and helping other individuals and companies that need help.